Welcome to class. Today is February 4th, 2017. It's 1 p.m. Saturday. This is EDT 8130. We're talking about making online courses interactive. Today's class, just make sure you complete your audio setup wizard every time you come in. Put your hand down when you enter the room, which is the third icon on above the names, and remove distractions. Speaking of that, shut off your phone, close the door, and put a do not disturb sign on the door. We want to focus on today's class only. Before we get too far, let's do a quality check. Give me a green check if you can see the red record sign in the upper right corner. Thank you. Give me a green check if you can see the words quality check at the top. All right, and click the green check if you can hear me sufficiently. Okay. Well, let's get started. Welcome for those of you listening live and virtual listeners. Today's class reviews the application of the Community of Inquiry practices to instructional technology, blended learning, and practice guidelines. The content this week is focusing on chapters 7 and 9 from the book E-Learning in the 21st Century, which you're familiar with by now. We're going to start with the goals for today's class. So by the end of today's session, the audience will be able to decide how to create an effective learning environment for a blended class, name a useful learning technology or technologies to use in online courses, and give guidelines for teachers to designing online courses. All right, we're going to start with an icebreaker. We're going to describe what made your favorite teacher or college professor an effective instructor. You just need like a couple words. If we could just write it in the text chat and go over that. So like what made your favorite teacher an effective instructor? All right, applied lesson to real life. Yeah, real world experience is really important. Interactive, yeah. Interaction is really important. And good activities in class, good. These are good. These are good things for teachers. One thing that I wanted to kind of switch gears with is I want to apply this question to another question. So what would the teacher that you picked be as effective in an online course? So if you think yes, they would be, give me a green check. And if you think no, give me a red X. So would this same instructor be as effective in an online course? All right. And I'm going to say, just to even it out. All right, we have 50-50. I said no just to make it equal. Does anybody want to volunteer and say why they said yes? The people that said yes? With training, they would. Okay.
Yeah, high school teacher I'm thinking of, he worked very well with interaction and collaboration and everything. And I think he would do well in an online, but he would need training on how to adapt his pedagogy to an online environment.
Agreed. I agree with that. I said no, and I think Nick said no. Nick, do you know, why would you say no for right now? Is that kind of like Bryce's situation?
Kind of what I was thinking was that my instructor was in college for biology, and I was thinking that it would be very hard for her to take what she does in lab and transfer it to online. And that you don't get that hands-on experience that you do in lab.
Right. Good point. I had a math teacher for my favorite teacher. Well, I'm a math teacher too. So it's like, how would you make it interactive? So good question. That'll kind of lead us into our activity later on. For now, we're going to get into the exploration. So this is just a quick review, the COI framework, the social cognitive and teaching presence and how they apply to what we're learning. Learning technologies is one of the most important things So new technologies, social media, we've got these things, the MOOCs, mobile learning and Web 2.0, they all have greatly impacted learning in the past couple of years. So historically, computer conferencing wasn't always equal to like the traditional classroom course. But now that we have this more collaborative approach because of new technology, it's let us change distance learning to allow us to communicate better about academics and create more meaningful interactions. So like Web 2.0 means that we're not just Googling things for information, we're now interacting with others. We use social media to interact with others and share activities and photos. We use the mobile massive online learning, so it's like the MOOC. It's like an open course that you can take. Anyone can take it, and it's fairly cheap. And then we have like mobile devices that'll help us access things immediately. However, like when I use mobile technology in my classroom, we have to constantly monitor students, make sure that they're on task. So those are some of the technologies you could use. Blended learning is the mix of face-to-face and online learning, and they create communities of learners to stay focused and working collaboratively. So teachers have to keep in mind the social and the cognitive presence, and they have to effectively engage all the students. And the good thing is blended learning is cheap and flexible. As long as it's a meaningful experience, the students will benefit. And lastly, we have a bunch of practice guidelines. So there's a lot of principles that we use to help social and cognitive presence in the teaching presence. So we have to apply those to direct instruction, facilitation, and planning the course. So across the context, it is easy to reproduce. It's not really easy to reproduce COI in every class the same way. So you have to keep that in mind when you design your class. So tips could be make sure you work backwards from intended learning outcomes, share responsibilities, and find a balance of taking a back seat versus clearing some misconceptions. So keep this in mind for our case study, okay? So the case study is going to be this. Jeff is a third-year teacher at a university for a geometry class. Last year, to save money, his college decided to make his course a blended course where students attend class for half the amount of time but are expected to complete the same amount of work. His first year of blending learning was kind of a rocky start. More students failed than ever before, and many students dropped the class. He gave 4 or 5 supplemental worksheets and activities a week, and students struggled with comprehension and meeting deadlines. So when students were in class, all they were doing was asking questions over the work, and he was unable to focus on like teaching the lecture. What are some strategies Jeff can do to plan for next semester? So he's going to replan the class. So I want at least 1 or 2 examples of the 3 presences. So what can he do to increase social presence, cognitive presence, and the teaching presence? So we're all going to go, and you guys can all go into breakout room 1, and you can start. Do you guys have any questions? If not, we can just go ahead and move. All right, for those of you listening at home, you can do the same activity. Go ahead and start and work your way through the situation. Describe the 3 presences to everybody. All right, guys. I am going to show what you have, and we guys can decide how you, hopefully you decided how you want to share, and we can start sharing. So since this is the first group, does anybody want to start?
Well, as we were reading this, it seems like that the class was designed so everyone was working individually. And here's the worksheet, do the work, give it back. So there needs to be groups established so that can work together, have some discussions and discourse so that they can help each other solve the problems so that class time can be used on the teaching that is needed for the material.
Right, excellent. Thanks. Good social behavior.
Okay, I'll cover the cognitive presence. As Bryce was saying, there's way too many worksheets for the students, and it doesn't allow enough time for discourse. There's no real-life problems for groups to solve, and it doesn't give students that opportunity to think about the problems they're presented with or have reflection in the course.
All right, that's good. And teaching presence?
For teaching presence, because of the limited time, he can budget his time, some percentage to teaching and some for facilitation, and he can also come up with the main objectives of the goal and stick to the activities that he can design around those goals and not try to achieve too much in that limited time frame.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I thought those were all good ideas. You know, obviously when we have these online math things, I think communication gets overlooked with students, and I think that's a big problem. Like my wife took one of those online Sinclair math classes, and all you do is not really worksheets, but it's like you go on the Pearson website and you do a bunch of homework over and over again, you look at videos, and that's pretty much it. It's very individual. That was awesome, guys. All right, we're going to go on and look at kind of the resolution. So to summarize, regardless of whatever online situation you have, whether it's blended or strictly online, you still have to provide stimulating questions that allow for collaboration with students and engage them. And you need to provide timely feedback within a reasonable, like I said, a reasonable amount of time, and use technology to help your instruction without overbearing the students. And then provide closure to students and help develop their metacognition skills throughout. So you really have to take the technology and use it to your advantage. For the last thing, I want you guys to make sure you challenge yourselves to change your ways, you know. Think of some effective teaching practices that you can use in the future. Since we don't have a lot of time, you can just write it in your discussion board for this week. If you've already thought of an idea of what you could change to something simple, just give us a smiley face. Smiley face. Excellent. Yay. Awesome. All right. And last thing, questions and issues. If anybody has any questions or issues, feel free to ask now or know that I'm always available at a later time. Other than that, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.